looking at the comparison between longest memory and black diggers. Let's have a look at this first topic. Imagine what the old folks would say. I mean, arriving in boats uninvited on someone's beach. That's from Black Diggers. Memory is a pain trying to resurrect itself. Compare the importance of memory and the past in these texts. Now, from what we've learnt from earlier in the year, of course, we have two things here with memory and the past, and we know that we have to refer to these quotes, right? We can't just ignore them. So imagine what old folks would say, arriving on boats uninvited on someone's beach. Memory is a pain trying to resurrect itself. So let's try to unpack it for a bit. This is probably the mammoth one. This is very tricky, and in the 10 minutes that I have with you, we're not going to be able to cover everything, but we'll get you started, all right? So there's some irony going on with this one, isn't there, right? That to do with invasion. The invasion of Australia versus the invasion taking place in World War One. So, when we're talking about old folks, so this is the past histories, isn't it? Right? Yeah, and that in some way they disapprove, right? Based on that history. Okay, so memory is pain, right? Trying to resurrect itself. This is quite a great quote. But it's a bit one-sided. I want to talk a bit about. Let's just unpack what this means first of all. Memory is pain trying to resurrect itself. So what we're talking about here is if we're remembering something that is coming back to haunt us, I guess. And in this sense, we're talking about generational memory, right? At least in some sense, generational memory. So, to what sense is the memory of what your people have gone through? How does that hurt you, right? And in what sense is it a good thing? I think that's I think that's the core of this question, and that's what you kind of have to address. In what sense is remembering the horrors of the past a good thing or a bad thing? Now, we've talked about this before, and it's important to keep it in mind. If we think about the spectrum of possible answers to this, we could say that memory equals bad, right? And people should just get over it, right? We shouldn't at all relive our experiences, and moving on is the most important thing. We could say, lest we forget, right? Or perhaps that's undermining that term, but maybe the other extreme is we have to remember. It's only good to remember. There's only good things in remembering this pain. Is the other extreme, and again, what we're aiming for is somewhere in the middle, right? And perhaps somewhere in the middle for this text is something like memory. We have to remember the past in order to understand the future, right? I mean, that's the big quote from the beginning of The Longest Memory, isn't it, right? We have to recognize these false paradises, in order to recognize the real ones. So we have to understand the past, Yeah, Chapel has to know what Whitechapel's paradise looked like, and understand how false it was in order to start realizing that what a real paradise would look like. But it's not only good; it is incredibly painful for those who have to experience those memories, right? That it is pain, right? That it's a painful process. Remembering all this generational trauma, right? Is inherently, traumatic. It's inherently painful. But if we're going to come to a better place, we have to experience that pain, right? And I think there's an essay in here about that, right? That would be something not so far as to say that memory should be avoided and we should all get over it, and not so far as memory is only a good thing, but something in the middle, and it's about like that if I was to write a contention, right, and don't feel like this is the only contention that could be written, obviously, it'd be something like recognizing the false paradises of the past requires a transgenerational memory, right? However, right? And again, good, I just want to stop on this however. Good contentions will have this kind of however, right? They'll have this moment where you kind of go, well, this is, all the way up here, right? This part is all the way up here. It's this however or this but that's going to push it back a little bit this way. However, the process is painful. Right? Something like this, right? I think this would be a good response, but I don't think it's the only response, obviously. You need to kind of work your way through it. It is such a massive topic. And from here, obviously, what you need to do is you need to break it down into individual topic sentences, what you want to say, and how you're going to go about, unpacking it. Look, I think I'm out of time. There's so much to say about this. I'm sorry we didn't get through all of it. But come talk to me, and we'll talk to each other in class.